One day I was on a walk here, it's hot, I was thirsty. I went to fill my hands and it made me think of a chapter from the Tao Te Ching, an ancient Chinese philosophical text written by a person called Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu in this chapter says, "Overfilled the cupped hands drip, better to stop pouring. Retire when the work is done. This is the way of heaven." The chapter talks about when is enough. And this is a question that I find really difficult. And I imagined maybe one day having a conversation with my future child. Let's call my son Oliver. And he has overeaten, he's had so many sweets that he's been sick. And you wonder, Oliver, why have you done that? How much is enough? And so maybe the next weekend I'd take him for a walk. When we were thirsty, go and try and fill our hands. And I'd ask him, when's a good time to stop filling? Hopefully he would say, well, before my hands are full, because I don't then spill water on the floor unnecessarily. But he's only 10 years old, so he may say more is better. I'm going to drink and drink and drink. And that's not only kids, right? I certainly have been known to overwork. I enjoy running, but how many runs do I need to go on before I feel I am good enough, worthy enough of fully accepting myself? I'm still working on that one. So why are we like this? Well, as a society, we don't really talk about when is enough. In fact, quite the opposite. We consider those with the bigger bank balances, the more stuff, the more Instagram followers as the successful, rich and valuable ones. We equate more with value, and we have been trained to think like this. I mean, it dates back decades and decades and decades. In the 1920s, economists in America were worried that a new generation would have all their needs met and so would no longer demand new things and the economy would be hit. And so President Hoover's Economic Committee declared that advertising will ensure that new desires are created at a faster rate than they are fulfilled. And almost 100 years later, we're still living in a world surrounded by those images.
Here in my garage.
And I imagine Oliver maybe seeing an advert on TV demanding the new toy for Christmas, then only a week later demanding the next one. But it is deeper than advertising. There does seem to be something in human nature. I mean, think about the last smartphone you unboxed. How did you feel? And how did you feel a week later? Yeah, we have this annoying habit of habitualizing to all the wonderful stuff that comes into our lives. And that's true of all these external rewards. There is always the next person with the more prestige and bigger bank balance and perkier bum. The game of more is better is not one that we can win, it's in the name. More doesn't have a finishing point. And yet we've set ourselves up so all of us are striving for the water coming into our hands. We want more, we want better. We rarely look down to see where our hands are, what we truly need, or even to realize that our hands may already be overflowing. And what does the society look like, made up of individuals whose hands are overflowing? I feel undereducated in what my needs are. I think a lot more about how do I get what I want. But as we've seen, desires does not equal needs. And so if you think you're on this planet for more than just accumulating stuff, then it's time for us to reclaim what an idea of a good, successful life looks like. It's like asking, what do my hands look like? What do I need? And what do I have now? You know, what do I need? That's a difficult question. A roof over my head, so I'm going to not spend my money on frivolous things and instead save up. I also need the planet not to be overheating dangerously so that me and Oliver can be safe, so I'm going to vote for politicians that talk about how the game of more is better is no longer serving us. I need time with Oliver, I need time with friends, I need rest. You know, rest. Maybe this is why we're set up like we are, because the powers that be worry that if we had our needs met and we were okay with who we are now, then we wouldn't do anything. But you just got to look at children who are natural explorers and creative without any need for an external reward. And look, when I stop filling and take a drink so that I'm no longer thirsty, I now have space to look up and look around and tend to the things that really matter. To stop filling, retiring when the work is done, isn't this never do anything again? Eventually I'll have to start filling my hands again when I'm thirsty. It's dynamic, a rhythm of filling and stopping and filling and stopping, and yet it is that second part that I find hard to value. And that's why I'd like to have that conversation with my son. The next time I ask him, when is the good time to stop filling your hands? He would reply instantly and say, of course, when I'm no longer thirsty. And this can be powerful. Imagine what the world could be like if more of us, when we go to start filling again, we pause and ask, when is enough?